let's see. Let's just take a look, okay?
All right, guys, so I have a treat for you. While we are still in the aftermath of the Kanye interview, holding that in the vault, revealing it to the world, and then the world sort of realizing that everything that we were told about Kanye 2 years ago, had him having a mental breakdown, that he was crazy.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry you interviewed Kanye West? Oh wait, why would we watch the Tristan Tate interview when we could just watch the Andrew Tate interview? Oh god, she did interview Kanye West. Okay, screw the Tate brothers. We're gonna watch this
All right,
because
guys, now it's
uh, there's no way Kanye was able to keep it hinged for an hour.
time for a conversation that so many of you have been waiting for. Candace plus Yay. I guess it kind of starts with a time machine.
This is the video that Candace went full Nazi? She was literally posting about how like Jewish people are doing blood libel, okay? Like she she was literally like retweeting people saying that Jews drink the blood of babies, all right? Like I think the time of like Candace Owens going mask off Nazi is like 3 or 4 months ago.
I got to take you guys in a time machine back to October 3rd, 2000.
Do a tag match. I do not have it in me to do both of those.
2022, a day that will live in infamy. Me and Ye premiering shirts at his fashion show, which read White Lives Matter. Definitively a moment I will never forget. We broke the internet. There's no other way to say it. And people just
You know, as a white, I want to personally thank Candace Owens for letting me know that my life matters. You know, nothing else in society would have taught me that or stood up for me, a poor, defeated white person. You know, I never would have been able to ascertain that I have any kind of white privilege, if not for Candace Owens telling me that my white life matters. I was under the impression before I saw that t-shirt that, white lives were disposable even. But now I know that my life as a alabaster disaster matters, and frankly, it's about time. I need to stop the bit. I need to stop the bit. Someone's gonna clip that out of
OMG, I've been
context.
hanging out with you for 25 months. Wow.
Chris
Thank you at
Huggy,
Riverboat Jack.
thank you for subscribing. Yeah, times were really hard for white people back in 2023. We were really we were really being oppressed by the jackbooted thugs of the government for being white back then. I remember when the anti-white police came to my door and no one stood up for me until Candace Owens put on the shirt. My people have suffered. Oh god. I don't know how us whites managed to survive until it's a mystery. That is what it was called, a joke. That was all a joke. That was a bit. None of that was meant to be taken seriously. Don't do it.
just couldn't believe how could a black person say white lives matter. We can only say black lives matter. And it's just interesting to see how the media sort of paints a narrative and there's absolutely no truth to it. I mean, what really happened.
So brave, Queen. So brave. Guys, I think it's finally time for me to take a stand and say it, all right? For too long, people have been oppressed but I will no longer be silent. The sky is blue, my friends, and I'm tired of pretending it's not.
Happened is Ye called me and he asked me to simply be at his show. Never asked me about wearing any shirts when I was there. We were backstage and he sort of held up the shirt and he was really in the creative process. And there were tons of models running around and he just said, I need you to wear this. And I said, sure, because I knew instantly what he was trying to do and what he meant. Shortly thereafter,
Yeah? Can you elaborate? It's such a riddle to me. What a deep message he was really broadcasting to the world.
though, everything
Profound
changed.
even.
And obviously, aside from people being angry at us wearing the shirts, then it shifted into this conversation about Ye and his anti-Semitism. And I can say definitively that it was the toughest moment in my entire career. I had never felt more pressure externally from the media.
She's definitely gonna blame this all on the Jews somehow, right? Like, that's what's gonna happen in this interview.
And from friends for me to condemn Ye. And I didn't take the bait. I didn't take the bait because, as I have said many times, Ye.
Wait, you didn't take the bait of condemning bigotry? You stood up for your personal bigoted beliefs. Amazing.
Ye had opened up to me about some things that were happening in his life. And you're going to hear in this conversation what those things were. And you can understand how someone would feel if they were subjected to the things that Ye was subjected to. I, of course, wanted the world to hear it back then.
Now, pardon my ignorance. Isn't Ye like a billionaire? Isn't he like wealthy beyond measure? Like, are we really doing a? Oh, he's so trapped in his wealthy world. He's so beset upon all sides.
I had invited Ye to come on my
God,
podcast at the
this is gonna be
time,
hard.
and he was slated to come on. But the evening before, I found out that that was not going to be a possibility. The network that I was on didn't think that I was the right person to interview him because of our friendship. And he was really upset. He was very upset. He essentially said that my voice was being controlled, and something overtook me in that moment. And I said, look, Ye, I obviously cannot. Overtook me in that moment. And I said, look, Ye.
Okay, I had to re-listen to that part because it sounded like she said, look gay. And that's something I say to myself in the mirror every day.
I obviously cannot overrule this at all. If I had my own platform, I would obviously host a conversation with you, but I don't have that right now. I do not have that right now. But what I do have is a camera, and I have a friend who knows how to run a camera, and we can just record this moment and we can lock this in a time capsule. And one day I will have my own platform and I will premiere this conversation. And that day is today. When I say that it was a tough moment, you were even looking at me when I watched this conversation back. You can just see it on my face. I was postpartum. There are very few times. I'm not a crier. I definitely am not a crier. That's not how I express emotions. But I remember going through this period, and there was a moment when, because I was postpartum, ladies know you have that moment where your hair sheds postpartum. And I remember dealing with the press cycle with Ye, dealing with friends and followers who said they wouldn't support me ever again unless I came out and condemned him, making a decision not to condemn him, and standing in the shower and my hair.
So brave, Queen. So brave to not condemn a ultra powerful friend of yours for saying anti-Semitic hogwash.
Was falling out in clumps, and I just said, please, God. And I was just crying hysterically, have mercy on me. Please just have mercy on me. I just need to get through this moment. I'm a breastfeeding mom. I can't take any more. My show's just gone 5 days per a week. Make it stop. Make it stop. And now I look back on that and I just think everything happens for a reason. And whatever inspired me to say, let's just put on a camera, turn on a camera here and record and have a conversation and lock it up in a time capsule. It was because that was exactly what needed to happen at that time, and a better moment for people to hear what Ye was thinking and what he had to say is right now. So guys, I invite you to listen to this conversation, Candace plus Ye. It was recorded on October 17th, 2022. I hope you like it.
Oh boy. Oh boy. She's so relatable. Guys, she's just like you and me, okay? Look, she was a child once. And then she had a talk show, and then she married into British aristocracy. And then she had a baby. Just like you and me.
Yeah, I'm happy. Happy to do it tonight.
I think she's legitimately
it's better than
insane.
doing it in the morning.
I don't think she's insane. I think she knows exactly what she's doing, and I think she genuinely believes this hateful stuff. Like, you can be a hateful bigot and not be insane. You know?
I'm obviously not the best morning person. We were talking about doing a Godcast for a while, actually. This works. Why did the word Godcast come to you?
Rhyme with podcast. It had God in it.
Okay, so it wasn't an ego thing. People will say, "Oh,
Is Kanye like, I've heard people talk about Ye as if he's like a genius. Is he more of a savant? Is that more, would that be more accurate? Like, he's good at exactly one thing? Yeah? Okay.
yay, Jesus, Godcasts." Is there any messaging in that?
Just the more we could say God, the better. The more we could say God in the media, the better.
Yeah, I agree. So I think one of the things that's the most interesting, I want to dive in this way, is people don't actually understand. There's something about you and I coming together.
Was this around the time that he tweeted out that he was no longer anti-Semitic because he watched 21 Jump Street and Jonah Hill was very funny in it?
That the media cannot stand.
Right.
Like it's actually.
Why does he look homeless? Because when you hit a certain level of wealth, looking homeless becomes the trendy thing. Like, you might think that I'm like joking about that, but like unironically, like, rich people will pay obscene amounts of money for clothes that look like they have been worn and are just made out of very high quality materials. It's like they're homeless, but they're much more comfortable. He sells white shirts for $300. That sounds about right.
Fascinating to me. Like, I called you super stressed out like 3 nights ago. And I was just like, what the heck am I going through right now? Like, it's another level that you graduate into when we're talking about Ye and we're talking about the media. I don't think people understand when I say the attacks come from every angle, every side, in every regard. They'll attack you on your children. They'll attack me and my relationship. They'll go after family members. My dad called me stressed from Hawaii.
Wow.
Yeah, he called me stressed from Hawaii.
what it's so funny that you said, you remember I talked about the gray hat and the gray hat hitting your table. Read the last text from my dad out loud. We talked about the miracles. Read out loud the last text.
Wow.
Read out loud.
When do you want me in Hawaii? Yeah. That's why I won't say that. Yeah. Well, my dad's in Hawaii right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and he called me stressed up. When I picked up, he was just like, Candace, what is going on? Then I actually started laughing. Like, it was kind of like comedic relief because my dad is not really like that. And he was like, I'm reading all these headlines. And my sister was texting me. My uncle, like the whole family has just been texting me like, are you good? And
all hell is broke loose and all heaven has come through.
Yeah.
I need them to talk about something more substantial. I am losing interest rapidly.
Yeah. In a way, yeah. It is. It does feel like all hell has broken loose. And the last time I went through this, though, it was a similar thing. It was like, for some reason, the game of life was just like Candace and Ye are not allowed to come together.
Like, unironic question. Do people in her audience not watch this and realize that she's like being like a sycophant? Like she's being like non-confrontational with him because she's trying to stay in his good graces? And like the more media appearances she can do with him, like the more prominence she can get. Like, does her audience not realize like exactly what she's doing? Like, it's pretty transparent.
Why?
I mean, it's the impact. It's the gut feeling with it's the intuition and the intellect. It's the gut with the information. It's the idea meets the study. And
no, they were trying to get him to buy, Candace Owens at the time was trying to get Ye to buy not Truth Social. I think it was like Gab. It was like one of those conservative social media platforms.
That's how other people have risen to,
I think her husband
forms of power.
Gab,
God is the only
owned
power,
Gab.
And we are vessels. God is a true artist, and we're the vessels. And he's calling for us to lean into these combinations. What they do is they'll do everything to keep the artists away from each other. Like when me and Dimna were next to each other, it was such a powerful combination. When me and Ken were next to each other, that was a powerful combination. When me and Jay-Z were next to each other, it was a powerful combination. So I love these moments of like these powerful combinations together, and whatever feel you do for like the futurists, the people who can see what the future is, the kids 20 years younger, 40 years from now, 80 years from now, when they see this, that's a big thing, is lean into those people that everyone tells you, like, you don't need to be next to that person, but you have something in your heart and your gut on why you should be next to that person. I've had people like comedians.
Oh, by the way, I saw someone in chat ask, who is Candace Owens' husband? Candace Owens' husband is George Farmer, and he's the son of one Lord Michael Farmer, the guy who founded Metal and Commodity Company, which is a huge multinational trading conglomerate. So, yeah, and also a member of the House of Lords. Yeah.
That you know of called me and said, stay away from Candace Owens. And, like literally my...
Oh, sorry, it wasn't Gab. She was trying to get Ye to buy Parler because her husband is the CEO of Parler. There we go.
I guess you use the term friends, have done the same to me, even to the point where I'm going to be on Bill Maher this week. I'm going to be on Pierce Morgan. I'm going to be on, I was just on Chris, how do you say his last name? Tonight.
Chris.
Cole. Let me see.
Is Parler a thing anymore? I don't know. I haven't heard about
Chris
it.
Cuomo.
Chris Cuomo. Wow.
Yeah.
You did Chris Cuomo?
Yeah. Tonight, like 30-minute segment, half talking, half a little bit back and forth or arguments. And then when you're landing, they're saying, oh, I can't be on Daily Wire, but I can be on all these platforms. And you said downstairs that they told you the reason is you weren't going to push back on me enough.
Yeah.
Like Chris was saying stuff like, you need to understand and you need to behave. And he said that at one point in the interview. I said, whoa, let's play that back. You need to behave. You're not supposed to talk like that.
No, Parler was sold in 2023, and it is supposed to be relaunching sometime this year. We'll see.
Out loud, Chris. You know, we know that that's what it is. And I was just talking to my girl. She was in the car listening to me while I was doing the Zoom, this live Zoom. And afterwards I said, this is the way I felt in Hollywood the whole time I was there. Like people were telling me like, you need to behave. You cannot wear a red hat.
Hey,
you cannot talk to Candace. You cannot say how you feel out loud. Like today, they took down my Drink Champs. They took it off of whatever platforms, YouTube, Drink Champs, Revolt. And they also took me off of the Balenciaga sites. And I just looked at my girl and said, yo, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Like,
Yeah, you know, that's exactly how you that's exactly how you say something when you're really happy about it. Yeah, I'm so happy. So happy. No. Come on.
I'm
Like if you're a conservative and you're watching this, like, are you being for real right now? Are you being for real? You think this is the way a guy who's actually happy about something talks?
so happy because I have this freedom from beholding to these brands that say, we only rock with you under these conditions. Like, we can have you be a black person, but only a black person that says that's wearing a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. Which at this point, now that I've worn a White Lives Matter t-shirt, I'm totally fine with wearing a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. You know, it's not because all lives matter. But even all lives matter would have, you know, I cut what I'm saying, this train of thought.
No,
So you can-
no, you're making perfect sense to me. I had two thoughts today. The first, well, I had a lot of thoughts today. I didn't just have two thoughts today, just to clarify.
Yeah.
But I was thinking,
Thank you for clarifying that you had more than two thoughts occur to you throughout the day, Candace.
earlier about when is the first time that I heard Ye was mentally ill, right?
Mhm.
So I grew up on your music. Obviously, everybody knows, like, you know, like when you first were spitting through the wire, you know, and you had a remarkably long career in the public sphere and nobody had ever called you mentally ill, right? And now, no matter what you say, when you don't exist under, I would just call it Hollywood terms, their number one rebuttal, if you have an idea, you're saying things like, well, he's mentally ill, and he already said he was mentally ill because he said it on this podcast, and therefore we don't have to listen to anything else that he has to say because we've already said he's mentally ill. And so I actually researched when is the first time that the public sold us this.
I'm sorry, you're like, when did we establish that he's mentally ill? He told everyone that he was. That's when. She's literally going like, he said he's mentally ill, but then I did my own research about other things he said. Are you for real right now? Come on. Did you pull an Inception? Did you go inside his brain? Is that what you did?
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was in 2017 that they said that you went to the hospital and you were bipolar, and
It's
that
2015.
sorry, pardon, 2015 when Trump was.
Yeah. About to, right when Trump got elected, I went to the hospital less than a week after that. Because the entire time while he was running, people told me that my life would be over. I would be on the wrong side of history. You know, like literally people threatened my life and told me, I did not stand up and say, hey, this is what I believe in. And that's who I am. That's what my character is. So I think that
They made you think that.
yeah, it's like how people, they said the reason why I couldn't be on Daily Wire is the
Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to read this quote. We are the kingdom, and I'm the head of the kingdom. I am God. No one can suggest shit to me, period. You can't tell my daughter to say shit to me about Jesus. I'm going to tell you some shit. God runs the world. I am God. I run the world. That is a direct quote from one Kanye West.
What a man think he is. So, we not the slaves. We are the kingdom, and I'm the head of the kingdom. I am God. No one can suggest shit to me, period.
wow.
You can't tell my daughter to say shit to me about Jesus. I'm just tell you some real simple shit. God runs the world. I am God. I run the world.
Anyway,
Is the Israelite comment.
let me be clear. That's not something you say if you're doing okay.
And every black person is fine with calling ourselves black and being called black. But when I bring up the idea that we're Jew because we are from Africa, the Bible was the majority, it's like set in Africa. Then it's challenging. And we talk about on the George Floyd documentary, it's called The Greatest Lie Ever Sold, the idea that
I'm sorry. I'm gonna watch the trailer for this. We're gonna watch the trailer for this movie that he's referencing just real quick.
So Black Lives Matter released their 990 IRS filings. They collected $80 million. Where is that money?
It's not here. Everything looks worse than it was.
Where have you seen that money impacted throughout the city? So my producer just sent me a link. It is just shocking to me because of how much money was raised to think that where he lived, the bills weren't being covered. Super frustrating, but
Yeah, because the money that corporations donated didn't go to the local community that he lived in, Candace. Like, did you think that that's what happened? Do you think that that's what like corporations do? No, they donate to nonprofits, so they get tax write-offs, dummy.
that's a dead end, so. And here's where it gets really interesting. Ready for some BLM pride? Another $200K went to escorts, BDSM workers, strippers, peep show workers, phone sex operators, and webcam performers. And then at that moment, it became personal. And I thought, not only am I going to say the truth, I am going.
Wait, it became personal because people were giving money to strippers? Why was that personal to you?
To scream the truth louder than you can scream the lies.
Damn, that's so crazy. Yeah.
Black people are not Jew is the greatest lie that's ever sold, because you don't see the Jewish abortion rate at the same level as the black abortion rate. 50% of black
Oh boy. Okay, so we're getting into the meat. We're getting into the meat.
Deaths a year is actually abortion. You don't see the Jewish divorce rate at the level of 70 something. You said the percent of black moms raising their kids by themselves. You don't see Jewish people shooting each other down in the street on World Star and then rapping about it. It's just not, there's not Jewish content like that. And also Jewish people do business together. And that's what I said on the Drink Champs. Hey, these are things that I'm envious of. You know,
I think the first thing that someone would say if you said that, right, is same for Chinese. You don't see Chinese people shooting each other. You don't see Chinese people with this super high divorce rate. You don't see Chinese people and Japanese people and Korean people and Hispanic people-ish, but no matter what, nobody's rates of violence and abortion are as high. White America, forget Jewish America, white America don't have these same rates, right? And so they ask why isolate Jewish American population?
Well, for black people, okay.
Okay, in case any of you have made it this far on my channel and you don't know what the answer to this is, it's very simple. It's socioeconomic forces. Full stop. When you enslave a certain population for like 400 years, okay? And then after that enslavement ends, after you finish treating them like, you know, property, like you would shares or livestock, you then systematically discriminate against them to keep them out of different fields, to keep them, you know, in certain locations within population centers, etc. That leads to a huge amount of economic disparity. And what happens when there's a lot of economic disparity? People start doing crime in order to get by. That's what happens. Jim Crow, redlining, you know, the burning of Black Wall Street. You know, these things are all contributing factors to why the rate specifically among African Americans of violent crime is statistically higher. It's not because of anything inherent to African Americans. It is very specifically the legacy of discrimination, racism, and slavery.
With the rates of that ours being higher, we're still, you know, you go see the slave movie, you see like a
Yes,
slave.
one might say it's some kind of racism that is systemic, you know?
They get their teeth pulled out in front of another slave. We're still getting our teeth pulled out, you know, literally like in jail. I have friends whose, you know, family members went to jail and they got killed by an officer, and then the officer like all of a sudden quit and they're not there anymore and stuff, and like so they can't do the trial, and you know, so
What? Is that how crime works? If you do a murder, you can just quit your job and they can't arrest you? What?
we're getting left and right still treated like slaves. And with the reason why I specifically say the Jewish people is
Oh
the
boy.
Jewish people, like how the Armenians worked in a meatpacking district. The Jewish people came into power in the 80s, truly, you know, when the divorces started happening because of Wall Street,
What?
because the like Catholic lawyers wouldn't divorce people. And
What? Okay, this is the first time I've heard this formulation of Nazi rhetoric.
they came into money the way how the darker Jews, the black people, are coming into money now. And
Yes, Wall Street, as we all know, the root problem among divorcees. Okay. Often when I talk with people who have gotten a divorce, they're like, oh, yeah, Wall Street told me to do it.
They had to, and they did a great job. They colluded. Before that, they were very involved with the civil rights movement, which actually the movement was it moved blacks from being Republican over to becoming Democrats. That was what the movement. That's where the move happened.
No, actually, the movement from Republican to Democrat wasn't because of the Jews. It was a direct result of the civil rights movement and how politically that was handled, and how subsequently the people who were opposed to ending Jim Crow moved to the Republican Party. The racists switched parties. Like, then that's how you got like the Southern strategy, the explicit Republican formulation for political mobilization that focused on religious schools that were arguing that their religious freedom was being infringed upon because of integration, because they were being forced to integrate their white-only schools. And that was then further sharpened as a movement by the invocation of evangelicals into the Republican Party as well, by politicizing the issue of abortion, which up to that point in time had not been a particularly motivating issue for evangelicals. People were pretty agnostic about it, ironically.
And now everyone's, well, why are you calling them out specifically? When I said DEFCON 3, I didn't get an opportunity to say what that meant, but it meant I'm going to call out all these things that have been done to me specifically by Jewish people that so happen to be businessmen or businesswomen, but still it was done by Jewish people to me, to the darker Jew.
Oh, okay. Like people have been saying in chat that he's expressing some Black Hebrew Israelite beliefs, and I hadn't caught that until just now. Can I just real quick, in case you have no idea what this is about, there is basically a fringe movement called the Black Hebrew Israelites, or you might know them as Hoteps, and they have some wacky beliefs, to say the least. Can I just I'm gonna show you the trailer for a documentary about what they believe in a nutshell, okay? Can we find that here? Okay, here's the official trailer. All right? Yeah, by the way, they tend to believe that the reason Hitler wanted to kill the Jews, I'm just going to let you know because there was an image of Hitler that flashed on screen. They believe that Hitler wanted to kill the Jews because he knew the truth about the Jews, and the truth is that people we know as Jews are actually fake Jews. they're doing like a stolen Jewish valor, because the real Jews are Africans, and the evil fake Jews have brainwashed all of the black people into thinking that they're not Jews. And so Hitler just wanted to wake everyone up. That's what they believe.
Motherfucker seriously?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, if you think I'm lying, the trailer basically outlines the cover up, the identity swap. Video's loud. I'm sorry. It's an IMDb video. Yeah. So that's that thing. In a nutshell, I feel like that's a decent summary here of what that's all about. Where the hell did people even get this idea in the first place? I think a lot of it came from Nation of Islam ideas, and then like kind of took on a life of their own outside of the organization.
And I was going to go one by one. And the reason I said it like that is just to say, I know you guys are going to call this anti-Semite, and I'm not afraid of that title. Now I'm going to lean into that title. So call me.
Oh, okay. Well, that clears that up. Candace, what did you say at the beginning of this? You stand with this guy? All right, cool. You're both leaning into the anti-Semitism.
Me whatever you want, because you call me void already. What's the definition of black? Void of color. Some people, artists may say it's all color, and it could also mean
No one's calling you a racial void, man. I don't know what the all right.
like it's like what they did, and when I ran for office, and they showed me on the TV, and they like blacked my face out, and they had me be void. And I think that Jewish people always will tell you about the trauma and the Holocaust. So one of my favorite lines on the Drink Champs, and you actually hit me about this, is when Doug Charney said, "Hey, I want to take you to the Holocaust Museum." And I said, "I want you to go to our Holocaust Museum, Planned Parenthood." Like, we're still in the Holocaust. 6 million Jewish people died in the Holocaust. Over 20.
Did you guys hear the hyphen he put into that? Did you guys hear the hyphen he put between Jew and ish?
20 still in the Holocaust. 6 million Jewish people died in the Holocaust. Over 20 million darker Jews, black people, have been aborted.
God.
More babies are aborted in New York at this point.
You can tell Candace Owens is doing a lot of work right now to not have any visible reaction to the things he's saying, specifically because she knows if she reacts poorly here, she's not going to have any more access to this guy.
Than born at this point. And my thing about the media, the majority of the media, over 50% of the media, at least probably 80%, but over 50% of the media is run by Jewish executives, and they allow all of this abortion-driven content that more affects.
I'm sorry, what is abortion-driven content? Can you elaborate on that, please? What does that mean? Like, are they driving cars powered by, like, aborted fetuses? Like, what do you mean?
It affects the darker Jew, the black people.
This is just blood libel? Yeah! He's an anti-Semite. He literally said, I stand with anti-Semites.
More than any other race. But then you ask the question, you can't even Google, like when you Google Jewish abortion rate, it'll be one piece of information. The next information is like from 4 years ago or something. There's no.
Yeah, that's how Google works, bud. That you are describing how a Google search engine works. Thank you.
Information about it. And if I attempt, my mom said trying is failing. If I fail by attempting to have a conversation with a Jewish person about the abortion rate, they won't allow the conversation to be had. That's why I said, hey,
Yeah, because when you walk up to a Jewish person and you like, hey, I want to talk about the abortion rate, they'll be like, that's a weird thing to want to talk to me about. Goodbye.
Toing the Jewish race, that saying, hey, you guys got to come up and say, did you do this or did you not do this? And I'm calling a lot of times, say people feel like I'm very selfish driven because I talk about things I specifically want to do. So I said, okay, well, I'm this voice for the actors, the musicians, the athletes. Specifically, I know are in situations where at least 4 of the people that they do business with are Jewish, and those people know each other, and the athletes come and go, and that 4, 5, 6, 8 people remain. The athletes come and go like cattle's in the stable. The actors come and go. The musicians come and go. And that mainstay of that Jewish, just say crew, because it sounds less ramped up than mafia, right? Than mob. Sounds.
I have to admit, I'm a bit conflicted right now because on the one hand, giving this airtime feels like I'm doing an ableism. On the other hand, this guy is one of the most prominent musicians on the planet. On the other hand, I want to be able to like debunk these talking points. But I feel like at a certain point he's just spouting bigoted nonsense. And to what degree am I complicit in that if I continue watching this? How is it ableism? Because he's clearly deeply mentally ill. Like I played a clip for you guys earlier where he claimed to be God. You know? It's not complicit if you debunk it. I guess that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I'm he's mentally ill, but he's also a Nazi, so he's also I also don't feel like he's going to be making arguments. He's just going to be doing bigotry. But maybe going over that and debunking all of that is worth it. It's the same thing.
Less mentally ill. So let's say there is definitely a crew. And I've been there and I've been talked to certain kind of ways. And you know who else wouldn't be talked to a certain kind of way? Kobe Bryant. You don't get talked to a certain way. I don't get talked to a certain kind of way. So things that I'm saying out loud, hyped up or calmly, I'm saying
Thank you,
things
very nice
5
reduction
times
for
a
the $5
day
dono.
that Black people, leaders, that specific Black people, just leaders throughout time, have been killed for things that we're doing.
All right, I just wanted to voice my thought process. We'll continue going through this. It's gonna be a lot, guys.
5 times a day. So one thing for the Black community and
Yeah,
all
this
of
was
this
recorded
like woke
2 years ago.
culture and Charlemagne and different things, it's like, bro, this is getting ridiculous at this point. People got to put some respect on the fact that I'm actually brave enough to say this out loud. Like, that's what's lit.
It's not brave to be a bigot. It's not brave to discriminate against other people. Like it's not a brave thing to do. You're just being a bigot and abusing your power. You know, Uncle Ben, when he died in Spider-Man, wasn't like, with great power comes the ability to discriminate against Black people, Peter. No, with great power comes great responsibility. To use that power well, you have a responsibility to use that power for good. And you know what's not good? Using that power to broadcast anti-Semitism to millions of people. My God.
Money aga ga 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 ga.
Uncle Tony, thank you for the $5 dono. Thank you for supporting stream today, folks, because I'm going to need a lot of support to get through this.
That's what God is inside of me. That's why I feel so good to be used. You done got me to a point, y'all call me so many names. You've disrespected me for 3 years. Forbes wouldn't call me a billionaire. It is important if people are calling you crazy to be like, oh, but I'm a billionaire because.
Yeah, that's really disrespectful, man. You know, all of us normal people, we're deeply offended when people call us billionaires by accident, or refuse to call us 100-aire or 1,000-aire, depending on our bank accounts. It's really disrespectful to not acknowledge how much money another person has. How out of touch with real people do you have to be? When was the last time Ye had a conversation with an actual normal person? You know? What about a dozen-aire? Yeah.
Because it's not me being classist. It's just me fighting against that, saying, okay, you're calling me crazy, but I must be doing something right. Now I'm not doing something, I'm doing everything right. And then to reach.
Yeah, I have no faults. I was created perfect in the image of God.
To the concept, the idea of being the richest Black person ever. And we're just at the beginning.
It seems like we've got something new to worry about every single day. I mean,
thank God, Candace. Thanks for trying to sell us silver and gold.
George Farmer was so elated by the response that we were getting. And then Elon Musk was retweeting what's going on.
George Farmer is her husband, by the way.
Or tweeting about what's going on today, and it hit Bloomberg and it's top trending. And I said to my chief of staff, get me a plane. I'm going to Nashville right now. And the feeling is right. Then we went to a restaurant, and the restaurant literally had all the same letters of the name my mother gave me. It was Kayne. So that's another, it's like you're talking about your.
Did Ye get too into numerology or something? Is this just he's seeing cascading coincidences and is saying yes, you see, if you rearrange the letters of this restaurant, some of them spell out my first name. You understand that's crazy, right? Like not in like a, oh, you're so great. Like, no, you're like unable. Let me put it this way: if Kanye wasn't like a millionaire, billionaire, whatever, I don't care. If he didn't have a ton of money, he would not be able to function in society. You know, he wouldn't be able to do it.
Dad with Hawaii. And like I had to, you guys saw that. You saw me hand the phone over like David Blaine.
Also, when was the last time Candace Owens said anything? I feel like she's just letting him talk. It's kind of crazy. I don't think I've heard her say anything in like 10 minutes.
And I couldn't have written that. My dad is like, because the funny thing is, where is your dad in Hawaii? Because I have this feeling like, let's go to Hawaii because I made really good music in Hawaii, and I just want to go to
That's just a bipolar
Hawaii and
thing.
actually
It's
do what
typical.
Jewish
Take it
people
from a
love the best
bipolar
out of me
me.
is make music and make people really happy. So,
That's interesting because I think what's missing
There we
in the
go.
conversation and the media trying to spin what you're saying is that you are talking about an industry where there are Jewish executives. And that's the first time I've actually heard you say Jewish executives. And I think before, the way that they were trying to sort of callously interpret it was that you meant every single Jewish person in the entire world. Every person walking the street has this power. But you have lived.
No one interpreted it that way. Like she's like using like a misinterpretation of what people what she's saying people thought about what Kanye was saying is just incorrect. And now she's like, "Oh wow, it changes everything when you just mean that Jewish people are executives and that they're controlling the world that way. It's not all Jewish people, it's just most Jewish people." Like that doesn't make it better, Candace.
For a very long piece of your life, at least in Hollywood. And what is weird to me and where I'm trying to play catch up is that there was a piece in the LA Times written by a Jewish guy named Joel Stein. And he said, who runs Hollywood? Come on, man. And he's a Jewish guy. And he wrote about how all of the executives in Hollywood were Jewish. And that piece wasn't called anti-Semitic. But yet now, if you say that part, if you say that a lot of the executives, especially in music, I thought this was.
No, you can say you can talk about that. No one says you can't talk about that. You can talk about how, hey, Jewish people are overrepresented in banking, like proportionally to like their population size. But it's not because there's like a sinister cabal that's controlling the world. It's because of like, again, socioeconomic forces that are the product of different historical ways that this minority group was ostracized. You know, like the reason Jewish people are overrepresented in banking literally dates back like 1,000 years because Europe was predominantly Christian, and those Christians believed that charging interest was a sin, and so basically one of the few jobs that they would allow Jewish people to do was run banks. And thus you have a historical precedent for why Jewish people are overrepresented in banking. Talking about that is not anti-Semitic. What is anti-Semitic is like this conspiracy posting about how they're all getting together and controlling the world from the recesses of their synagogues where they do dark ritual. Yeah. Which is what these guys are doing. Right? That's what Candace Owens and Kanye are doing in this interview. And likewise, it's not anti-Semitic to talk about how, like, hey, Jewish people, proportional to their population, are overrepresented in Hollywood. But there are reasons for that. Again, largely due to bigotry in the United States.
was something that people knew. I've heard this in Jay-Z's music before. So I was very surprised that there was this, oh my God, how dare he say this? And it's anti-Semitic for him to say this. And how can you say that, I think what you're talking about is that every piece of what you have created has been owned by a Jewish executive, and that there's a disproportionate amount of Jewish executives in Hollywood.
I'm sorry. Do you not stop and think this is where conspiracy brain is so toxic, okay? And why conspiracism, the conspiracy singularity is so alluring once you get caught in that gravity well, right? It's because it takes away your curiosity by providing you ready-made answers that were crafted by bigots, they're oh, well, the Jewish people are overrepresented in Hollywood because they run an evil cabal that is designed to take over the world and weaken our, the purebred stock of America. When the reality is, in the 1930s, a big event happened in Europe that pushed a lot of Jewish people out of, Europe, and they came to the United States, and weirdly enough, during the 1930s and 40s, a lot of Jewish immigrants came here, and wow, they wound up making movies because that was seen as a low-class thing to do. And thus, you got a bunch of families established in cinema. And then, wow, you have a bunch of people coming up in that specific industry. Crazy. Yeah, film and photography used to be seen as low class because the real high class work at the time was considered to be painting, portraiture, etc. That's what was viewed as art. People didn't really view film and photography as art. They viewed those as kind of nice things to have, but not really important and kind of distractions for children, okay? But just throwing it out there, maybe if there was some intellectual curiosity here to actually dig into these questions and not just accept ready-made conspiracy-brained bigotry as an explanation, maybe you'd actually learn something here. What the fuck? That's dumb. There's some really cool movies out there. They never saw Star Wars or Dune. Yeah, but because we're talking about how people felt about film and photography in the 1910s and 20s, or the 1930s even, we're talking about things people thought and believed and wrote about how they thought and believed those things, 100 years ago, not what people thought and felt about things 60 years ago. But yeah, they're not interested in learning. They're just interested in vehicles for their bigotry.
If I was going to get my nails done, I might say there's disproportionate amount of Vietnamese people wearing the nail salons. You know what I'm saying?
Or
I don't know what happened, but they got here and they were like, we're going to do nails. You know what I'm saying?
Black people in the NBA.
Right. Yeah. So why is that? Are we allowed to say that? If I just said that, there's disproportionate amount of Vietnamese people doing nails, nobody would have censored that.
Yeah, I wonder how a bunch of Vietnamese diaspora from, the Vietnam War wound up in America. Man, if only I knew anything about the Vietnam War. And gee whiz, I wonder how they came to be overrepresented in doing nails and salon work. Work that is largely seen as the purview of the lower class. The kind of class that refugees from wars do. Again, it's almost like there are pretty clear socioeconomic reasons that different groups of people come to be associated with different professions. I just wish there was more intellectual curiosity from people who think about these things, you know?
If I said there's a disproportionate amount of Spanish people at the border.
Because the
Just
people who
kidding.
run the nail shop,
But that won't get censored.
the people who run the nail shop don't run your podcast.
What happened was nail techs were one of the only jobs that offered tests in Vietnamese. Damn, that's crazy.
That's it.
Okay.
Now your nails might not get done the same way as before.
They're gonna be like, she's blowing up the industry that we're at. But that's true, and I think
I guarantee you that whatever Vietnamese people are doing Candace Owens' nails are talking shit directly in front of her.
Say Jewish people have bought the black voice.
and that's what you meant by it, is that they're disproportionately represented in media, and so if something that you say is something that they don't like, they won't allow you to have it said. That's what you meant. That's getting more specific.
Okay, it's more specific, but my emotion about it as a human being, as a leader, I operate at every medium, from the most brash and brutal to medium and understandable to highly sophisticated. We have to operate in all those. My feeling and my emotion, because I am a human being, I'm not a robot. So if you take
Thanks for
a
the
woman
clarification.
can be scarred by men just off of one bad experience with a man. Perhaps it might be a
Oh boy. I can't wait to see where he's going with this one.
6-year-old girl that has an experience she shouldn't have had with an uncle. And that woman ends up being a stripper or, disliking men. So imagine if that woman had that experience with 10 men, right? So I can tell you I've had 10 bad experiences with Jewish execs
Yeah, but you would understand, like even in your previous example, having 10 bad experiences with men could very reasonably cause a lot of trauma. But that trauma doesn't justify then hating all men. Even in the example he gives, right? It would create an emotional response that we all recognize as being irrational. So he's like, hey, what about this irrational example that I have? Well, I've had this irrational example and I feel irrationally about this minority group as a result. This isn't that's not an excuse to have bigotry towards a group of people.
And these are the Jewish people I come in contact with. So if that woman had that experience with 10 men, she may say this term, men are all the same. She could sing it, she could say it. And imagine if she was just beautiful, if she had the face of Irina Shayk or the body of Candace Swanepoel or the body of Kim or something like that, right? This
is getting a lot weirder as he continues to talk.
If this person was just kind of stood back, or say it's Halle Berry or something, if they
because he's already made the direct comparison between himself and the person in the analogy. So he's like, now imagine if I was incredibly beautiful, like any of these people. Imagine that. What?
Just step back and we're a bit timid to give a number out. And somebody says she hates men. She hates men. What do you mean, all men? And would men do a whole series of 80 outline things calling she's anti-menetic? Is she anti-menetic because of her experiences?
Anti-magnetic. Yeah, if she has an irrational hatred for the magnetic people, yeah, she is that. Yes.
And she allowed to have the emotion that because of her experience, now she hates, now she dislikes. You know, I'm going to say dislikes because it's considered to be hate speech. Like, yes.
Yeah, we we have that already. It's called misandry. We have that.
I'm at a place where I'm like, I'm not going to talk specifically to Jewish businessmen because the Jewish businessmen are the ones who have done the things to me to hurt me and to hurt my friends, right? So
Yeah, this is called being a bigot. That what you are describing is bigotry that is predicated on an irrational belief that these people are a threat to you.
now I'm talking to Jewish businessmen's families. That's why I said the Jewish people, because I'm calling the Jewish people to talk to the Jewish businessman family and say, are you doing fair deals? Or with your version of the boy.
So he's calling upon the families of I feel like when he says this, he means it quite literally. Like, he's literally calling up the families of Jewish businessmen in order to use them as like a go-between.
Boys Club, right? This isn't the Catholic Protestant Boys Club. This is people that have been through pain and rose to success.
Yeah.
The Jewish business community. I need their families, their dads, grandparents, wives, children, to ask them, are you doing fair deals by God? Because yes, we do have Zionist Jews and we have godly, you know, take Friday and Saturday off Jews, right? Jewish people. And as Jay, in my position, I'm one of the darker Jews, Black people's most loved by Jewish people, Blacks, period. Like for 20 years. So that's the reason why God put me in this position. You know, when with the, I have to word it the right way, but with 2024, you know, coming 2 years from now, whoever ends up into office by 2024 has to bring the country together. There's no more of this divide. So that means the funny thing about the Jewish media is I have their attention. They love me. They always love me. I have their attention.
Now you're referring to media executives. So like
executives, yeah.
Yeah, so like TMZ is owned by Harvard, and that's one Hollywood publication that would like be writing about you all the
time. I notice how like most of when she's interjecting throughout this interview is to try and like save him and make herself not look quite so anti-Semitic. She's like, by Jewish media, you mean, of course, the Jewish executives that own the media, not that everyone who works there is secretly a Jew, right? And he's like, yeah, that's exactly what I meant.
time.
Yeah, exactly. So
Harvey Levin.
Harvey,
Jewish.
My name is Jay. It's not Kanye West. I take it like you calling Caitlin Bruce. Like my name is Jay. Like, so those little things also.
Yeah, it's exactly like, you know, dead naming a trans person. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Refer to me as billionaire, Christian billionaire, Jay. Matter of fact, I may.
Again, if you are someone who is new to my channel, okay, and you have like a different, you're not like on board with like the socialism and stuff, I get that, okay? But I hope we can agree, you and I, that Ye asking here to be called billionaire Christian Ye, or Christian billionaire Ye, is that's weird. That's weird, right? Like, that's not, you understand how that's not the same as like a trans person being dead named, right? Like, I hope we can at least find that common ground.
I legally changed my name to Christian Billionaire Ye. So you'll be forced to call me Christian Billionaire Ye. So, because since my name is Ye, I got a lot of room to extend it on the other side. Or I'm doing a prefix. What's say I had a train of thought.
Well, Gamergy, you can, in fact, just add 2 adjectives to your name, but far be it from me to criticize Ye, but when you legally change your name, people aren't forced to call you that name. You know, I just want to point that out there. Like, people have nicknames like all the time, and sometimes those nicknames are not come across in a way that the person whose nickname it is enjoys them. You know, like sometimes people are called things that aren't their legal name. It's true. I know this is crazy. All of you in chat right now who are not going by your legal names.
That I was getting to.
You were saying the Jewish media, and I just interjected to say you're talking about specific people in media.
She has to dive in to try and save him again.
But what was I saying about the Jewish media? I don't want to like kind of ramble to find my point again.
Yeah,
it's a really good point. Because even like we're in that ticket, I'm like a bit sleepy.
Yeah,
it's just that's what made Through the Wire. I'm gonna do podcast sleepy from now. When I do Bill Maher 2 days from now, I'm gonna go in sleepy. Right, because I have so much energy as like alien level African king that if you put me in a normal podcast situation.
I'm sorry, can you back up to the part where you explain what an alien level African king means? What does that mean? What does that mean? You can't just like Are we doing like humans couldn't possibly have built the Egyptian pyramids type thing? Is that what we're doing right now? Like,
with an antagonistic media person, then they can get me to look as animated as they would want me to be on stage or on a basketball court. But in that setting, I have to speak. So now I figured out the code to be as calm as, you know, they would like me to be in these situations. So, but man, I'll get back to it after. Otherwise, we'll have like another conversation. We'll be good.
Yeah.
Fine. What we were saying.
Yeah. But I just wanted what I want to go back to though. With the 2 things I want to say. So first off, when I was coming on the plane, my podcast was on shuffle, and Jay-Z song came on. It was dun 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 dun. He says, "Oh, I know what it was." He says, "I dumbed down my audience to double my dollars. They criticize me for it, yet they all yell holla. If skills sold, truth be told, I'd probably be lyrically Talib Kweli. Truthfully, I want to rhyme like common sense, but I did 5 mil, and I ain't been rhyming like common sense. When your sense got that much in common, and you've been hustling since, the only perception for perception go with what makes sense. Since I know what I'm up against, we as rappers must decide what's most important, and I can't help the poor if I'm one of them. So I got rich and gave back. To me, that's the win-win." And I was just so stunned. I read it back like 10 times because I forgot.
Yeah. What? Oh man. What a crazy concept. Rich people have never said that before.
How much I love that song. And I was like, he's literally telling you that he is dumbing himself down, and he has decided that the better thing to do is to keep the people that follow him stupid and be able to help them by giving money. Like, I can't help the poor. Like, I dumbed down my audience to double my dollars. Like, he has to make a decision to be smart, right? To be rapping like Talib Kweli, or to make money and be able to give back to people. So he knows.
I'm dying.
And this made me think of you because you said on that podcast that got taken down that information.
I'm dying. God. Okay. I'm looking at the timeline here, and apparently we're about to get to the 2nd most replayed portion of this video. I say that once we get through this, we be done. Because I cannot take 40 more minutes of this shit. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's boring as hell.
Is the number one resource, right? And he knows that he has to choose between giving the people information or having success. And I was stunned by the verse.
And what record label was he on that helped influence that decision? It was a Jewish record label.
So I have a question for you guys. Which movie is George Lucas best known for? I'm posing that to you guys. When you hear the name George Lucas, what movie are you thinking of? Star Wars? Yeah, Star Wars? This isn't like a gotcha. Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Okay, Star Wars. Ya mum, nicely done. Star Wars. Okay. Red Tails. Obviously it's Strange Magic. All of you failed. Okay? All of you failed, okay? It's this movie, all right? Not one of you was correct. Okay? We all know the beloved film Strange Magic, right?
That is the ugliest creature I have ever seen, and it was naked.
I'm going to destroy you.
No need to worry. I will protect the kingdom. My hair's doing that thing we both love.
Whoa! Nobody ever goes into the dark forest.
I'm not afraid of them.
That's right.
An army approaches. Sound the alarm.
Okay, no, I'm done. This was too much even for the bit. But basically what I'm trying to say is that small art house movies that are artistically fulfilling, like THX 1138, okay? They're good, all right? It's a good movie. But it doesn't break the box office because it doesn't have mass appeal, all right? Usually, small art house films don't get mass appeal, all right? They just don't. What do you guys know Vin Diesel for? Okay? What's Vin Diesel's big thing? All right? What's his movie that you know him for? Triple X, Pitch Black, Chronicles of Riddick, Fast and the Furious. So I'm noticing a lot of you aren't listing his 1990 movie Awakenings. I'm noticing you guys aren't listing his first feature film, Strays. Okay. An artistic film that he wrote, directed, and produced, and was selected for Sundance. I'm noticing you guys aren't talking about the touching urban drama of Strays. Okay? What is this bit? It's infuriating me. What I'm pointing out here is that Jews aren't responsible for people adapting their artistic expression for large mass appeal. Okay? That's the point I'm trying to make. There's a reason George Lucas went with widely beloved, adventure serials from like the 1930s and 40s for the like to get mass appeal for Star Wars, okay? There's a reason why, Vin Diesel is not known for his art house films that he was, writing, directing, and starring in, all right? It's not because they're bad, because they're not something that appeals to, like, the vast majority of people. Can you hear us? Yes, I was choosing to ignore your passive-aggressive comments.
Okay, what was it? I don't know. See, I don't know the industry.
Universal, Def Jam.
Yeah, Def Jam. He was definitely
a Jewish and French, because you got Vivendi that owns Universal, but French, that's super colonizers. Like the French own 80% of African banks. So
nobody would be mad if you had tweeted that, by the way.
Oh, the French,
yeah.
But that's because the French don't hyper focus on controlling the black voice like the Jewish media does. So, but this makes me think. Drake is the best rapper ever by the numbers. Jay-Z is the greatest rapper ever by the inspiration.
Yeah, he inspired me.
There you go.
He was smart. Okay. You know what I mean? Like he's talking business, but you either got it or you didn't. He was telling you the code that now I'm being stupid. Like I'm giving you guys stupid stuff. Because this is how it works. Like, in order for me to stay successful, I have to keep giving you stupid stuff.
I just think Yonsei need to let him go get some pussy. Seriously.
What?
He gets to go to the DR or something, like, you know what I mean? Like,
what's that about, though? What's that about? Are you?
This is very clearly what she wanted this conversation to be like at the very beginning when she initiated it, and her laughter is very clearly relief at not having to talk about Jewish conspiracies.
Are you good friends with him still? Because you know what's missing from this whole.
I don't know if you're gonna run that line or not.
I'm not. This is going up on Parlor. What do you mean? Are you gonna run it?
Yeah,
that's the bigger question.
I just think man, it's like Jay-Z is like the head. We're under the fire, and we're the firefighters. But in order to be a good firefighter, you got to be willing to run into that fire. And that's what makes me the number one firefighter. That's what makes me Michael, because I'll run into that fire. Everyone knows.
What? Dude, he gets lost in his own analogies so often. It's weird. It's weird.
That I'll run into that fire for the people in the burning building. Who's the people in the burning building? All of society. Because blacks and rappers are the thought leaders. We're like everyone, people, if you go to a college, people have different majors, but everyone majors in Drake at the college.
Banana Brains, I haven't been deliberately ignoring YouTube chat. I was not responding to you because you were being passive-aggressive. Specifically, you. Like when you are constantly posting in chat about how I need to speed it up, and adding in brackets about how your tone for the comment is explicitly aggressive, yeah, I'm going to ignore that rather than stop the entire show and address it and talk about how, no, I'm not going to speed up the video. My inaction is a response.
It's very few people, even if they don't particularly seek to listen to them, everyone in the college knows the song. So that becomes then the information, a part of people's curriculum and DNA of the way we think. And what I've been saying is like the idea, free thought, the White Lives Matter T-shirt. That's an idea. Let's talk about idea separate to that T-shirt. You have the idea for civilization to move forward. What do we do in marches? We marched, and what's marching?
I feel bad for this guy. Like, I know he's richer than I will ever be across like 100 lifetimes, but like, I still pity him, you know? What do we do at marches? We march. And what is marching? Come on, dude. You're not deep. You're like as deep as like the stoned 16-year-old giggling to himself in the corner, thinking that he's like unlocked a new level of the universe because he can like cross his eyes. Like that's the level we're operating on here.
Walking, right? In order to walk, what do you need? Both legs in order to walk.
I'm taking mental damage. I'm taking a lot of mental damage right now. Well, I pity Nazis too. You know, like I pity people who willingly sign up to become death cultists. It's something that is inherently pathetic.
How do both legs work? One foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. So watch this. An idea is your left leg, and actualizing, I like it better than execute, like universal positive forward movement language. You actualize with your right leg. You think the idea with your left leg, you actualize, you're moving forward, right? But if you go into a place where there's thought police, they put the innovators into a place of crawling, and our civilization is no longer moving forward. And
I'm sorry. This is the dumbest shit I've heard in a long time, and you guys know that I cover a lot of dumb shit. All right? I can't. I won't finish this. I'm done. All right? I'm done with this. This is like if you asked a tech executive at gunpoint to like film a video that's inspirational to like his entire company. You know, like that. This is basically what you would get. Yeah, and then we're all gonna march together, and we're going to achieve great things because there are people out there who are going to hurt us if we don't. And the thought police will come for you if you do not follow my lead. I am your god. Do the hokey pokey. All right. Enough of that. That was unmitigated dribble. Literally all the comments. Thank you, Daily Wire, for firing Candace Owens. Your loss has been our gain. Independent Candace is the best Candace. I'm not out of control. I'm just not in they control. Yay. Worst mistake Daily Wire made is firing Candace Owens. She's a fucking force. It's funny how great an interview can be with a journalist not controlled by a corporation. Awesome job, Candace. I love your content. If they're black, then it's a gang. If they're Italian, it's a mob. But if they're Jewish, it's a coincidence, and you should never speak about it. Dave Chappelle. Thanks, Dave. As children, we're told to connect the dots to reveal a picture. As adults, we're told to ignore the dots. Yeah, because connecting the dots is a game for children. When you're an adult, you're supposed to be able to draw your own picture. You're supposed to have the skills to be able to draw your own picture without the fucking dots! Literal baby-brained morons. That's who this content is for. if you have fallen into this kind of like psychological cult of hatred, you are a baby-brained moron. Everyone around you can see it. You're not actually in on some kind of secret knowledge. You're just an idiot. A loud idiot. And everyone can tell. Please change before you destroy your life.